Hey guys, I am cmasupra, and welcome to another Company of Heroes video. Yeah, still no idea what to call these things. I don't know how many of these I've done, but I still have no idea what to call them. Anyways, ignore the little jump right there that you just saw. That's because I had to Alt-Tab out of the game and then go back into the game because of a bug in the game that it doesn't work perfectly with dual monitors. You have to Alt-Tab before you can actually play the game, which is weird, but oh well, don't worry about that. So this video is going to be about tactical retreats, which they're not something you use very often, but when you can use them, they are so helpful. And by tactical retreats, I don't mean retreating when your squad is low on health. That's a normal retreat that you normally have to do anyways. Tactical retreat means, or at least what I think it means, is you retreat because it's going to give you a tactical advantage even though your squads don't actually need to be retreated. And I use that quite a bit in this game because of my opponent's artillery, and if you can guess what I mean, or where I'm going rather, with the artillery and the tactical retreats, you can probably figure out what you're supposed to do. But for those of you who can't, and for those of you who can actually, still watch this video because it's going to be informative, I think. I haven't recorded the commentary yet, as I am recording it right now, so who knows how helpful it's going to be. I think I'll be helpful. If I'm not, I know you guys will let me know. So, yeah. Let's go on to the basics of the game now. I'm playing as Veremock, my opponent's Americans, and we're playing on, what's the map? Sturzdorf. And it's actually Sturzdorf. I think that's the name. I think I have the middle letters correct. Not entirely sure. But I sent I sent one Pioneer squad left, one Pioneer squad right, and my Volks to the middle. And that's typically what I do if I start in the south using, or on this map. Then my opponent has some engineers and riflemen that show up, so I tell my Pioneers to just retreat. You don't really need to capture any more points on the left side of the map, so just retreat, don't take damage, don't take unnecessary losses. I made a video about that, don't take unnecessary losses. It's very, very bad. Especially because it costs a lot more to reinforce a squad. Or no, it costs a lot more to buy a new squad than it does to reinforce a squad. And I think I did some math on riflemen, and I don't think I actually ever figured out the numbers, but it's like half. It costs half as much to reinforce as it does to buy a new squad. So, yeah. Very useful tip right there. Don't take unnecessary losses because you need your manpower. So the second unit I built was a bike. Actually, the third unit I built was a bike. First was Volk, second was MG, third was a bike. Why did I go with the bike? Because I wanted line of sight for my MG, and I had a feeling that my opponent was going to be somewhat campy this game. I just had a feeling. I guess what gave me the feeling is the fact that he was attacking my left side and the middle, sort of, kind of, but he never touched the right at this point in the game. I have free reign on the right side. As you can see, there is a fuel point captured on the right, but he didn't try to go for the high fuel point on the right, this one that I'm just right-clicking now. So he's not pushing very hard on the right, he's focusing on left and middle. And that was a mistake for my opponent, or by my opponent. You should never get in a house where there's no windows facing the enemy. Luckily he noticed it, and he moved out of the house. Lucky for him he noticed it. Not lucky for me. It would have been great if he didn't notice it. For me, because I would have damaged him and he couldn't do a thing about it. So I guess right now I'm trying to take back the left side, and at the same time I'm capturing the right side, and I told my Pioneers to stop capturing that point just a little too early. As you saw, I almost captured it. I was like, oh, I should have finished capturing it rather than just pressing H as soon as I selected them, but I didn't, and I'm about to retreat because of riflemen showing up, and I was losing the battle between Pioneers and Engineers. Pioneers are now weaker than Engineers, which didn't always used to be the case. Back before opposing fronts came out, back in the 1.71 patch and before that, Pioneers were actually just as strong as Engineers. They were still 120 manpower versus 140, like they are right now, but the difference is that Relic had to nerf Pio spamming because in 1.71 Pio spamming was really, really strong against Americans. So the way they nerfed it is based on the number of pioneers you have next to each other, they take more damage. So now even the 2 pioneers that come together in one squad cause each other to take more damage because they didn't think about that, I guess. They didn't think, oh, a single squad might be weakened if I make that nerf, but they decided to make the nerf, and that's just how it is. Now pioneers are weaker than engineers. And as you can see, I'm now building tier 2. The reason for that is I feel a strong need to tech right now because I had the fuel on the right side. If I can out-tech my opponent, I'm probably going to win. And if I don't out-tech him, I might lose because we'll just be battling manpower versus manpower, which he might win, I might win, who knows. But if I use my fuel advantage, I will win because he doesn't have the fuel, so it's going to be his manpower versus my manpower and fuel. It's a win for me because I have more resources as long as I use them correctly. You can't just have more resources and not use them correctly. You'll probably lose anyways then. I guess in terms of making progress on the map, my opponent has come on the right side and taken that high fuel point, while I have sort of taken space on the left side. I took that fuel point on the very left back. I took back the fuel point on the very left of the map. There we go. And my opponent is taking the right side, so I know that I have semi-free reign on the left side. It's like my opponent's not going to do much to me here. That's fine. I'm going to build a med bunker and start holding here, playing defensively, because if I can just get a hold on the left side and the middle, I'm set as Wehrmacht. I don't really need the right side or the right side fuel. I prefer for the Americans not to get it, but I don't need it because I am Wehrmacht. Wehrmacht does not rely on fuel. They only rely on munitions and manpower. Americans rely on manpower and fuel. Panzer Elite requires manpower and fuel. British require manpower. And then depending on what you decide to do, the standard strategy is for Brits to use fuel. I tend to use munitions more as Brits, and it is unexpected, so it turns out well. Watch my British strategy video if you haven't. That's a perfect example of what I do as Brits, where I use more munitions than fuel. So I managed to take the opponent out of the middle house there at the top right of your screen. So I took the house now, and there's a Panzerschreck in there, and this is a nice little trick you can do with the bike or any fast vehicle. I was stopping my opponent from moving up to my MG, so that my MG could finish setting up before it started firing. And it worked out perfectly. My opponent ended up retreating, and actually he lost a guy, I think. So that was nice. It's also very mean of me, and I hate it when people do that to me, but it can be done. And you can decide whether or not you think that's fair. I don't know. I don't know if it's fair or not. I decided to do it because I was just like, I want my MG to survive, so I'm going to do this. Because I want to hold the left side, and I need my MG to be able to do that. Is my MG set up? Yeah, it is. It looked like it wasn't for a second. And I don't think my opponent has grenades yet. Oh, he's gonna lose the rifle squad. Yeah. He lost the rifle squad to my bike. That was just plain awesome, but oh no, there's an M8. I have nothing to counter that except for Panzerfaust. I am kind of in trouble here. I fire off one Panzerfaust just to make the enemy think, oh no, he can use Panzerfausts against me. I better be careful with this M8. Because if he thinks he has to be careful with it, he's not going to do as much damage to me as he would otherwise. Yes, I do have a Panzerschreck squad, and yes, that will counter an M8, but the M8 is faster and can easily get away without dying. So a Panzerschreck squad is not the most useful against the M8. So I'm building a Pack 38 in the Tier 2 building, the Kriegsbarracks, and I'm hoping that comes out before my opponent does too much damage with the M8. I did just finally decide to take my Grenadier squad and charge the M8 in hopes of killing it eventually. And I'm reinforcing all these squads, sending the mortar back up. And now let's look at my squad. They are dying. They're at less than half health with 3 members. My bike is about to die if I don't move it, so I decide to move it back towards my lines, and my Panzerschreck squad now has 1 man. I think I told him to retreat. Yeah, it looks like he's retreating on the mini-map, and he died. He died right there. You can see the Panzerschreck. And then my pack comes out, but I'm just like, oh no, he has infantry next to my med bunker now. And he's taken my Panzerschreck, so my pack can't do much right now because it can't get a good angle on the M8 without dying because of infantry. I decided to set it down right here in the middle of those two buildings, but it doesn't do much. I mean, it does do something if the M8 happened to show up between those two buildings, but it didn't really. I did get a single grenadier squad from that med bunker, so it's just like, yes, the med bunker has more than paid for itself now. So at least I will have not lost anything by making the med bunker, except for 50 munitions, which is pretty okay. I don't need munitions too badly. I kind of need them. I am semi-low on munitions, but it's not a bad loss considering that my opponent overran my position. I also put the MG in the house. I forgot to talk about that. The reason I put it in there, despite the fact that the house, that particular house, does not provide much cover, I just wanted it in there so I could prevent infantry from coming close to my Pack 38 as I move my Pack 38 up, because I want my Pack 38 to be able to just kill the M8 without any issues. And my opponent actually moved back because of the MG. And at this point I realized, oh no, he has all 3 victory points. I need to go capture one, so I'm going to go capture the one at the far right, because I don't think he's there. I didn't think my opponent was there, because he had such a large force on the left side, and I felt like he's probably focusing all his energy on making sure he takes the left side and pushes me so far back into my base that I can't do anything. That's probably what his strategy is right now. And I was right, he's not at the right side at all, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I think I was right. Yay, Pack 38 is firing at the M8, and lucky shot, the M8 happened to go right in front of my Pack 38 for some reason. I think he was trying to turn it around, but didn't do a very good job of that. So the M8 died, and I was just like, yes, I can now push up with my infantry. My infantry will win against your infantry because I can just do a lot of damage at long range, and I just have so many squads. He also has a higher upkeep, so he's not going to have as much manpower income. And I think I talked about that in one video, I'm not really sure, but basically, the more men you have on the field, the higher upkeep, and the Americans have a really high upkeep for engineers. So if you have a lot of engineer squads, you're going to have a really low manpower income. And artillery, so I'm just like, oh gosh, you guys need to get out of there, throw that grenade. Kill the rifle squad, he's not paying attention. Oh no, there's a grenade in my squad, retreat. Yes, there we go. And his AT gun is all alone now, except for this one rifle squad that has a Panzerschreck. I decided to throw a grenade in them, and I think he retreats after I throw it. Maybe? No, he does not. He retreats after it explodes, rather. After I threw it, and then after it exploded. So I guess, yes, it exploded after. What? No, he retreated after I threw the grenade, yes, but it was more like he retreated after it exploded. You're supposed to retreat before it explodes. Or move out of the way, which is the better option. Sometimes. So, after the big battle in the middle, I know his AT gun is still here somewhere. And I also know that I want to push up on the left side and take back what he took, which is actually nothing. He didn't take any points and all that. He just lost a lot of manpower because my micro was better or something. Maybe I was more spread out. Maybe I was doing more damage. I'm not actually sure. But I managed to win that battle. And I was confident the whole time I was playing it that I was going to win that battle. I'm not quite sure why I was so confident. Maybe it was the MG. Maybe the MG just gave me such high confidence. Like, he was running straight into my MG, so I was like, okay, you're not going to make much progress if you just run straight into my MG, you have to flank it. But if you're just going to run straight into it, I'll gladly accept that, and you can lose this. I will gladly do that. And then one large artillery shell kills that many units, and I was just like, oh, really? So I guess you have on-map artillery, which is the howitzer. And I need to make sure I don't lose too many squads to that. And now we're going to start getting into the area of the tactical retreats, which I will remember to talk about before the video is over, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Why did he nade the mortar? Maybe he clicked on one of my guys and the nade just happened to go there. That's one tip I have mentioned a few times and will mention again because it is just so helpful. If you're going to throw a grenade at a squad, do not click on the squad. Click right in front of the squad. Because the grenade always overthrows wherever you click. Always. 100% of the time, it will not land where you click. So it always overthrows it. So if you click right in front of the squad, it will land right in the middle of the squad. If you click the squad, it'll land behind the squad, or it'll kill one guy. It just never is a good spot that it lands in. So always, always, always click in front of the squad that you're trying to nade. Because otherwise you'll just miss, as he did. Yay for blobbing. And boy am I glad that shot missed from the howitzer. That would have really sucked if his howitzer had hit those squads. I think I still would have been winning, quite honestly, but he would have had a much bigger chance of winning than than he currently has. And I thought the artillery was over. I thought that was the last shot, so I started moving up, but it turns out it wasn't the last shot. Did he? He sent down artillery on my squad again. I just realized that now. When I was playing the game, I was so busy trying to kill this inmate, I didn't even realize he sent down off-map artillery on my squad before I moved them. And that was not smart of him. You should, if you're going to send in artillery, plan on sending it down where the blob of infantry is going to be, not where they currently are. He sent it down where they currently were, and that didn't work out well for him. And as you can see right here, I just threw a grenade right in front of his infantry, so it lands at a specific spot in the map. Sadly, I didn't follow my own tip, and I threw it where he was, not where he was going to be, and that was the end result. On my... screw it, I'm not saying that. So it's a nade, but it was a nade battle up there. It's not anymore, but it was. And I would say I won that pretty well. And yay, another artillery barrage. I decided to take my MG, rather than retreating it, I have him just move over to the side. Because I figure, I'm not going to lose you. I don't need to retreat you. I think you're going to be perfectly fine. I also moved my mortar over to the left, and my pioneers are still capping the point because I think... well, based on the first two shots that come from the howitzer, you have to judge what his area of barraging is. And I'm sure you guys do this automatically in your head whenever you see off-map artillery incoming. But you have to gauge where his barrage area is and then make sure that you move everything out of it. Because if they're not out of it, they might die. In fact, they probably will die because of the way that barrages work in this game. Every shot's either a hit or a miss. If it's a hit, it will guaranteed hit your squad no matter where they are. But it can only... become a hit if they are in the circle. If they are out of the circle when it fires, then it won't hit that squad. I believe that's how it works. It's based on when it fires that it determines whether or not it'll be a hit or a miss. Not entirely sure, but I believe that's how it works. Ooh, my screen went black because I forgot to move my mouse after 15 minutes. I am not changing the setting in Windows to where my screen turns off after 15 minutes because sometimes I forget to turn off my screen and then I just have to let it automatically turn off. Anyways, totally useless information for this game. Let me take a drink. And now I'm making a big charge. That was a long drink, yes, I know. I'm making a big charge now because my opponent has very limited forces. I know he does. He spent so much on that howitzer. He has been pushed back so many times. He's lost so many units where I have not. And I somehow took down the inmate again. When I was playing the game, I don't know how it happened. I still don't know how it happened watching this game afterwards. No idea how I took down that inmate. But I did. I took it down with my Pak-38. I just don't know how my Pak-38 managed to kill it because normally an inmate is able to avoid a Pak-38 pretty easily. Especially when it's that close to the Pack 38, it can just go outside the arc of fire of the Pack 38 and it'll be fine as long as it keeps going out of the arc of fire, because the Pack 38 will rotate if the or if I, with my Pack 38, right click the M8, my Pack 38 will automatically rotate to where it's always facing the M8 no matter where it is. So you just have to keep the M8 moving and it'll be fine. I'm not really sure how we lost it, as I said. Not really sure. And then I lose a motorcycle. And it's just like, really? There's a mine right there? When on earth did you get so close to my base that you could place a mine right there and I didn't notice it? So I was kind of mad about that, but then again, it's also just a bicycle and I haven't really been using it lately. Because I haven't really needed it. I have such a strong force otherwise, and he doesn't have anything where I would need to be able to see farther into the fog of war. Which is what the bike was really useful for at this point of a game. Or is useful for at this part of a game. But I didn't need it for that, so it's just like, okay, yeah, sure, I lost a bike to an invisible mine, but oh well. So I just got Vet 3. That helps a lot. It gives your infantry 20% more health, so they last, I guess, 20% as long, really. And that's a huge boost. I sometimes question getting Vet 3 because it's 70 fuel and 300 manpower. But it's a really good investment on infantry, at least. And I would say it is good on tanks as well, because it gives them side skirts, and side skirts help a lot in terms of fighting infantry. But yeah, Vet 3 is really worth it, even though it costs a ton of money. Resources. There we go, resources, not money. Which doctrine do I choose? The answer is Terror Doctrine. Why did I go Terror? Because I wanted to try it out again. I haven't used Terror in quite a while. I typically go defensive as Wehrmacht. But I wanted to try Terror just because I knew I was going to win this at this point. I mean, my opponent lost so much infantry, and he keeps making some mistakes when it comes to charging me. He keeps running into my MG, which I do keep moving it, to his credit. I do keep moving the MG, so he doesn't know where it is every time. But he does keep running into it, so I'm predicting where he's going to be pretty well. I think I lose the mortar here. Yep, mortar lost entirely. Not just the crew, but the whole entire mortar. And I just finished taking to tier 3, because I wanted to go tier 4 for the tanks, even though I'm also going Terror for the tanks. I think I'll change my mind here pretty soon once I build. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it, but I will be changing my mind to go to the artillery side of Terror for the V1. And the ending's actually pretty funny with this. Oh, it was funny with the V1. It doesn't exactly explode. It's not that's funny. It's just an unusual occurrence, and it just happened by chance. You'll get to see when we reach the ending, or you can skip ahead, like, as if you don't want to actually watch this. You just want to see the funny parts, which I can understand. So, not getting into the tactical retreats yet. I haven't forgotten I'm supposed to talk about that, but we're not quite in them yet, I guess. They come later in the game. And they have to do with his artillery, as I said at the beginning. And here I say he split up his forces. He has an engineer squad on the left, a rifleman squad on the right, and a rifleman squad in the middle. So I tell all 3 of my squads to just go attack one squad. Let's go with the engineers first, shall we? Yeah, let's go with the engineers first. And then he retreats them. Just like that. And I'm hoping to kill them, but I don't think I'm successful, if I remember correctly. And I also saw him flanking me on the left there really quickly, so I was just like, yes, I'm so glad I have my MG set up there. That MG is going to stop any of those rifleman squads from doing anything. And he's going to lose that squad in the building if he doesn't retreat them really soon. And it looks like they're retreating on the minimap, so they survived. That was a smart move. He should have known, though, that he wouldn't be able to fight 3 Vet 3 squads using 1 BAR rifle squad. Vet 2 on infantry as Wehrmacht matches about around BAR riflemen, but once you get Vet 3 on grenadiers, they become too strong for BAR riflemen, and you really just have to get Vet on your riflemen. Vet 3 on riflemen is better than Vet 3 on grenadiers, but Vet 0 on Riflemen versus Vet 3 on Grenadiers. Even if the Riflemen have BARs, the Grenadiers will win, especially when there's 3 squads versus 1. So yeah, he shouldn't have gotten that building, he should have just simply retreated, but at least he retreated once he realized he was going to lose. So that I will give him credit for. Right side, I'm protecting with a single Grenadier squad, and I feel safe for doing that because they are Vet 3, so they will beat any squad he sends there. And he's only been sending single squads at a time to the right side because he's been so focused on the left. So I'm just like, okay, my one Grenadier squad will be fine against that. I don't have to worry. And I send all these infantry to go kill this one rifle squad because my MG is covering the middle of the left side, so I send my infantry to the left of the left side. And they did quite a bit of damage. He lost 2 guys there before retreating. Should have retreated sooner. He should have, but oh well. And now I think we're going to get into the tactical retreats, because as you can see I have 4 full health squads. I hear artillery coming, so I just retreat every single one of them. Not a single one of them is missing a man. They're all filled up on men. But I retreated them because I didn't know where the artillery was coming, and I knew all my opponent's forces were at his base, so I didn't have to worry about them showing up while I was retreating. And it's just safer to retreat when you can do that. Now normally you won't be able to do that. Yeah, you should... If you think your opponent even has a chance of having a unit that can come up and charge you as you're retreating, don't retreat your all your units like I did. Instead, you should try and just move them out of the way and guess where the artillery would be coming. But I retreated everything because I had no idea where the artillery was coming, and I wanted to make sure they all survived, because if I can save my manpower, it'll help me a lot in the long run, especially because I'm limiting my opponent's manpower. Did I? Oh, my squad threw a grenade. I was like, did he throw 2 grenades with 1 squad? No, one of those was mine. But, yeah. So tactical retreats, let's go back to that. I had retreated my whole squad, or all my squads, because I didn't know where the grenade was coming. And I was just like, I want to save my manpower because I can win that way. I have a ton of fuel, you don't have any fuel, you'll have limited munitions. And once again, I tactically retreated from the left side because the artillery was coming. I saw it coming. And over here on the right, on a totally different topic, I have Grenadiers fighting flamethrower engineers, and the engineers actually got Vet 1. But I have a tank coming out, so any damage he did to my Grenadiers, which is 45... No, how much do they cost to reinforce? 32? No. I don't know how much Grenadiers cost to reinforce. Is it 28? I don't know, but whatever he did is gonna be very little compared to how much I do with this tank. I think I'm buying Vet 1 for tanks right now in the Kampfkraft Center. Yep, Vet 1 just finished. I'm going to select Vet 2, and at this point I'm going to have my tank charge in, as you can see on the minimap. Maybe, depending on how good quality you're watching this in, I have no idea what this is going to look like on YouTube. I know that the quality of these videos on YouTube is not even close to what it looks like when I'm watching it here, but I can't do much about that. That's just YouTube compression. Well, my tank is now in here, and I see the artillery, I see the on-map artillery, so I decided to send in an incendiary attack, as he said. I'm not sure what it actually is called, incendiary barrage maybe? Not really sure what it's called, but I decided to send that in on his artillery, MG nest, and tank depot. And the result is only the artillery dies. The tank depot is still at over half health. Vet 2 for tanks is done. Just like, yay, now I have a top MG to do damage to your infantry in addition to my main gun. You have 51 points left. I'm making a med bunker just because I can. Just in case this game goes on because he decides to come around the side of me and win, like he's trying to do here. He actually failed at the right side. He did take the middle. He did decap the middle. Tell my Grenadiers to get the BR and then go back in the building. Then I have this huge blob of infantry from the left side moving to the middle because I want to take that middle victory point so I can get all 3 of them again. And then I noticed the Panzerschreck squad coming from my Panzer IV. So I move it so its front armor is facing the enemy Panzer Shrek, even though it's my Panzer Shrek and he stole it. And I have this big blob of infantry protecting the middle. I have an MG on the left side, protecting the left side, really. And I decided to send in another incendiary barrage because I want to kill the tank depot. In hindsight, I actually realized this while I was playing it after I sent in the second incendiary barrage. I was just like, why am I trying to kill the tank depot? He doesn't have enough fuel income to buy a single tank. He's not going to be able to do anything with the tank depot. So why am I so worried about killing the tank depot? Yeah, I don't know. And now my Panzer IV is one hit away from death. It's already lost its main gun. I quickly select the V1. Game's almost over. We're at 9 victory points, now 6, and I'm waiting for 150 munitions to call in the V1, and I don't realize the game's almost over. 150 munitions, call in the V1, and game over. So like a quarter of a second after I clicked down the V1, the game ended, so that was the funny thing. That was the funny part. So there weren't very many tactical retreats in this game. There were 2 that I mentioned, and they're perfect examples of when you should do it, which is basically when you know your opponent doesn't have any force that's going to come and attack you as you're retreating. Just retreat and avoid any losses because of the artillery. Because if you take losses, then you'll have to retreat later. Then your opponent will show up because he's already done retreating he's done reinforcing while you are still reinforcing because of your losses, and he can overrun you. So, yeah, tactical retreats are not useful very often, but when they are useful, they are very useful. And there's the V1 that was not finished being called in. It's a perfect circle right there. Looks like an atom. A semicircular atom. Yeah, it's like a hemisphere. So, what else? What's that explosion on the left side next to those engineers? I guess that's my tank blowing up. I think it is, because I called in the V1 as soon as my tank blew up as well. So the tank blew up right before the game ended as well. My tank, I guess you could almost say, lasted the whole time it was out on the field, but it didn't. It almost did. If it had survived a second longer, it would have. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this 30-minute and 48-second game, which you can see at the top right. And hope it was helpful. And I will see you all next time in the next video. Bye!